Someone who knows firsthand the devastation bushfires can cause is Jan Gilbert. She's a marine ecologist living in the town of Mallacoota in Victoria's east. In the black summer of 2019-20, these are some of the scenes Jan and other residents of Mallacoota were confronted with. Dark red skies full of smoke and devastating walls of fire around their community. Jan was one of more than 100 households to lose their home in those fires. Since then, she has rebuilt and is now preparing for what could be another hot and dangerous summer. She joins me now. Thanks for your time. You would be looking more than most at some of the medium and longer term forecasts. We know we had La Nina, and I guess in some senses that would have been a relief for you knowing it was wet, but now that foliage has grown back. What's it looking like for your region this summer?
Well, it's not particularly great, Tom. But you mentioned the La Nina and its ferocity, and we saw the impacts of that in the floods. And I was always convinced that if the La Nina was that strong, then the El Nino would come back just as fiercely, and it certainly seems to be doing that. So I'm concerned, basically.
Yeah, so what are people talking about as this summer approaches in terms of preparation? How is preparation, do you feel, for your town and for your region for the threat that's coming?
Well, I guess, in a remote place like Mallacoota, this is the problem that, there's only so much preparation you can do. We've got 2 fire trucks. So places like here rely very heavily on people in, emergency command centres getting aeroplanes in here, getting water bombers in here, and that just doesn't seem to happen. So there's only a certain amount that the community can do. And after that, we need help. We're a town of 1,000 people, or a little over 1,000 people, and 2/3 of the residents here are over 60. So, and even though quite a lot of us have actually done firefighting training, these types of fires, the fires that we're looking at now under a climate change scenario, are just, we don't have the resources to deal with those on our own. We just can't possibly do that.
No. So, yeah, there's the size of it and the fact, for people that don't know it, Mallacoota and around were some of those dramatic images of people sheltering on the pier there. There's only one road in and out. So it's not a question of which way is the fire going, will go the other way. You're backed onto the water at that point.
And people who actually did try and leave here before the fire hit us got trapped either in Eden or in Merimbula, or they got turned back. Or so it is, it's fairly problematic in areas like this where you have only got one road in and one road out. I mean, we saw with the evacuation after the fires, they had to bring the chills in. They had to get people out of here by sea. So I think preparation...
It was pretty dramatic.
Yeah, and preparation before an event happens, action, real action on trying to get ahead of the fire front, slow it down, do anything that's possible is preferable to, the amount of money and resources that must have gone in to actually evacuating people out of here. Let's do something in preparation.
What's missing in that preparation, in your view? I know that from the macro sense, it's been reported there's no helicopter that can water bomb overnight. So that's one aspect seemingly that's missing, that it's getting repairs. What else are things you feel have not been done?
Well, look, I think we had some interesting meetings in Canberra a couple of weeks ago. And one of those was with the Minister for Emergency Services Senior Advisor. And, there's a person who's sort of right on the ball. She's a volunteer firefighter. She also knows that in areas like here, we need small planes. We need lots of them, small planes, lots of them. And, bringing in a huge water tanker bomber is not going to really help us. We've got an airport at Mallacoota. In fact, everyone in Mallacoota before the Black Summer fire hit, imagined that we would, there would be aircraft coming in and out of here. And it was just ridiculous that they weren't. And I have asked some people about that, And they said, oh, too much smoke. And it's just, that's not true. The 2 days before the fire hit, when the Wingan River fire got out of control, there was no smoke here in Malakuta whatsoever. So we could have got aircraft out of here to get ahead of the fire front. And I want to see those sorts of preparations. I want to see that,
Okay.
places like us have got some aircraft on standby. We've got pilots on standby.
Okay, so that's the preparation that's lacking at the moment. Longer term, I understand you're looking to sell your property. I'm sure it would have been a tough decision, and it's been motivated by your fear there, and I guess others as well, is that fires are going to be harder to contain in the future, and the isolation of Malakuta, I guess, comes into that.
It does. It does very much. And it is sad because I also think about what's going to happen in regional and remote communities if, if people can't get insurance. I mean, if I couldn't get insurance to, against bushfire, then I just simply wouldn't be able to afford to rebuild my house. And I'm not sure many people would. So, how is that going to affect not just people personally, but economies in regional areas? Not being able to get insurance for most people means that they will have to move. So, I don't want to live in a city. I love living in remote areas. I choose them specifically. But I guess what I'm looking for this time is, something that isn't surrounded by quite so much bush and has more than one road in and out.
We do hope for the best for you and your community, Jan, but understand your decision. Thank you for your time today.
You're welcome, Tom. Thanks.